Welcome to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, the first Saturday of the meets at the Aqueduct Fall Meet. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Artie Schiller. We're going to bring you the opener on the card from this Saturday coverage here in New York at South Ozone Park. 6 furlong sprint, $16,000 claiming race. Going to preview some of the big races we're have later on this afternoon for you, too. We're on for about a half hour here, and then we're back later today, and we'll have not only the Artie Schiller from Aqueduct, but we're going to have the Dream Supreme and Bell's the One back in action.
We are. Like I said in the show last night, I slept over there actually last night, so it's really nice because I feel like I was just sitting here with you a few minutes ago. It's nice to be here. It's a beautiful day at the Big A. We're on the turf, which is great after we got a little bit of rain yesterday, and looking forward to talking about our first and then coming back later for the tail end of the card, but also that action at Churchill that you mentioned.
Well, our feature on this card later on this afternoon, we're back on for part 2 of our program later today, is that Artie Schiller Breeders' Cup Mile winner. We'll get to that here in a second. You can play all these races, including the Artie Schiller, by getting signed up and started with NyraBets. Go to nyrabets.com, download the app, and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Take advantage of that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus offer with that code right there, bonus 200. Race 9. On the card today, it's a mile over the inner turf, where Rinaldi is going to try and use his speed to his advantage. His trainer, James Bond, had quite a few reasons why he scratched out of that Mohawk last weekend at Belmont. Part of it was he thinks 2 turns is better. Also probably didn't want to have to deal with someone like Hot Brown on the front end.
Yeah, and he said that. He said, if I'm involved with him, something's got to give. And he ran very well last time, considering how heated that pace got. He ran well in this race last year, went 4th. And he was able to win the Forbidden Apple when he was able to control in the front at a very moderate pace. A talented runner, looks like the main speed. I feel bad talking about the Artie Schiller without the MiG here, because the MiG rode Artie Schiller throughout most of his career. And if you've never, and this is the general you, if you've never seen Artie Schiller's debut win, which I know you have, Greg, go to YouTube and put it in there, because it's one of the most exciting wins you'll ever see.
Unfortunately, MiG injured before that Breeders' Cup when he won the mile, and Garrett Gomez filled in admirably.
I was with the MiG in the paddock at Belmont before that Breeders' Cup race that he went out and won, and the MiG was his usual stoic self, but that had to hurt, no question about it, especially the connection he had with Artie.
6-time graded stakes winner, including that 2005 Breeders' Cup Mile, over $2 million in earnings. This year's edition, so Rinaldi, Grade 3 winner of that Forbidden Apple. Maybe he is better around 2 turns. He got ganged up on, which we've talked extensively about in that last start in the West Point by microsecond, and forced him to go a lot faster than he wanted to go.
I think that at a mile and 16th or a mile on the Widener turf course, his type of running style is disadvantaged a bit because the paces usually get a little quicker in those races. So they rate to be tougher on a speed horse, whereas the 2 turns at Aqueduct, 2 turns at Saratoga, and even the dogleg mile to 16th at Belmont Park, you rate to get a slower pace with the field hitting the turn pretty quickly. So I think the 2 turns creates a situation that is more advantageous for a speed horse like Rinaldi. I think he's a good horse, and I think the 2 turns enables him to run his very best race.
Meanwhile, Flavius inside post for Chad Brown, and Flavian Pratt decided, hey, let's just put him on the front end in the lure at Saratoga. He got to go 24-2, 48-4 to the half, and tell your daddy, who's in career form right now, was unable to catch him.
I imagine after that race, Tom Morley probably said to himself, you know, I'm supposed to be in front of Flavius. My horse is faster. Why did we let him go and set that slow pace? And he could well be in front of him today. I think Flavius drew very well in here. He did not have a very good trip in his last race at Kentucky Downs. And I like his chance in here. But I think all of Rinaldi, Flavius, and Call Your Daddy, who ran very well to be second in his last start. I don't think he had a tough trip in there. Some do, but I don't even think if you think he had a good trip in there, he's not a major player in this race.
It's a good addition. This could very easily be a graded stakes race. Mark Casse has an uncoupled entry as well, Olympic runner, March to the Arch. They're both accomplished runners as well.
Well, I was thinking about this, Greg, and we will run graded stakes that are worse than this race. I'm surprised this race hasn't been graded. It's had good competitive fields, and it should be at least a grade 3.
That is coming up later today. Again, race 9 on the card. We will have live coverage when we're back for part 2 of our coverage on FS2. Meanwhile, Churchill Downs today, everybody was looking forward to this big showdown in the rematch between what's become a nice little rivalry in the filly and mare sprint division between Bell's the One and Sconson. Unfortunately, Sconson scratched in this race, but Bell's the One. It's just been so much fun to watch over the course of her career for Neil Pessin. And we got the opportunity to see her win impressively at Saratoga this summer in the Honorable Miss. She's coming off a Grade 2 win at Keeneland, which we'll show to you now, and she leaves herself a lot of work to do, but it does look like there's pace to set it up for her today.
Yeah, I think that she's going to get the pace to run at. Without Sconson there, she becomes very, very much the horse to beat. You know, can Frank's Rocket step forward? She's an example of a horse that hasn't stepped forward from 3 to 4. And Bell's the One has just been such a model of consistency, Greg, and I don't see any reason to falter. And it's a real disappointment that Sconson's not going to play here. Both she and Bell's the One. Bell's the One had a 1 to win, you're in, but both of them could have been real contenders in last week's Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. They opted to stay at home for the Dream Supreme. Bell's the One will play. I think we're all disappointed Sconson won't, but still, good to see Bell's the One.
Well, that mare, too, that was kind of inching ever closer down the stretch was Club Car. She's got to deal with that one again, but Bell's the One without question, especially with no Sconson. There's no doubt about it. She is the one to beat, and here we'll see if Frank's Rocket can move forward. She had one time last year in her 3-year-old campaign, she looked like she was going to be a superstar.
I agree, and it's interesting. Horses get criticized in connections when they retire horses early. Well, sometimes they don't run as well, and they sort of maybe devalue themselves. And Frank's Rocket, you don't see the fillies or mares necessarily get retired as early, but she's a horse that in her 4-year-old year, you'd think she might take a step forward. She didn't. Usually they do, often they do, but she did not. She's still a really good horse, but I don't think she's as good as she was at 3.
Big race for her this afternoon.
I agree, and she's not impossible.
Not at all. Florent Giroux will ride there for Bill Mott. That is the 10th on the card. Churchill Downs bringing you this first race from Aqueduct on this Saturday card. It'll kick off the early pick 5, 6-furlong sprint, $16,000 claiming race, 4 to 5 on Summer Bourbon, who was in a battle with Aristocratic last time out at Belmont, tried to intimidate that one, who was down on the rail, and then all of a sudden, Korea's Brooklyn Law came and undetected and stole it from both of them.
Does not look like a 4 to 5 shot to me, Greg.
No. We'll talk more about the opener from Aqueduct when we come back.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes. He added turf credentials to his resume with a determined victory in the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile, a winner and Grade 1 placed at 2, multiple graded stakes victor at 3, and Grade 1 winner again at 4. This son of War Front has proven his class at every level. A classic winner with a stallion's pedigree. War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
he seems like he's the type of horse, he likes to try to see what he can get away with and stuff like that, and but he's not really aggressive or anything like that. He don't try to hurt you or nothing. He just likes to interact with you quite a bit, and just play around.
He's a medium-sized horse. He was obviously turf. He's by Dubawi. He's got a huge pedigree. I mean, it's the Jude family and Quarter Moon and Ruby Tuesday, which has been very successful. And Dubawi's turned out to be a pretty good sire of sires in Europe right now. So I'm excited about it. I mean, the foals all look a lot like him. They're kind of brown packages with maybe just a little white on them. There's not a lot of white or a lot of chrome, as they might say, but he's really stamped them.
Very alert. I mean, he's curious, as you can see. He's always wondering what's going on.
He had an immense amount of talent. Unfortunately, he was not shown on the racetrack. He pulled up lame in the Belmont Derby. He was 3 for 3 going into the race. Peter Brandt, very high on this horse. He thought he was one of the most talented horses he's ever had, which that often says a lot too. He's very well supported by Peter and the syndicate. He bred 102 mares his first year. He's by Dubawi, who's arguably one of the best sires in the world. And we think we're in a very good position with him.
DeMarshall Yeh by Dubawi. Dubawi had a pretty good Breeders' Cup weekend. 3 winners.
She's had a pretty good career. I think it'll be
Claiborne,
Go ahead.
program brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it'll be really interesting to see what DeMarshall Yeh does at stud, because I think it really is an opportunity to get a horse with a European pedigree, and we're seeing more and more of those horses running here with more and more opportunities, particularly in New York. And I think if he has, a success, a reasonable level of success, I think it'll really open up things to allow more of those turf pedigrees to get stallion careers in this country.
We're going to get to our opener at Aqueduct coming up in a moment. First, quick preview of Sunday action, the Winter Memories. Named after the multiple Grade 1 winner of the Diana, the Garden City for Jimmy Toner. Mile and a 16th on the inner turf. Unfortunately, a tough outside post for the New York bred Runaway Rumor, who she just tries so hard every single time out. She started out 3 for 3. She's not won since, but she's run really well.
She really did. I mean, she arguably ran the best race in here. I don't blame Jose Lezcano. He realized he was in a tough position, and he had to get her into the race. But in doing so, she ended up with a wider trip than Floppy Sox, who sort of got better early position than she did. And that's why she was able to beat her the wire. But you have to really be impressed the way she just keeps on rolling along. And it doesn't seem to matter, Greg. 6 furlongs to a mile and an eighth. She puts in the same kind of run. It's unusual to see a horse that is efficient in sprints, but is also very talented going longer. She's a really, really good horse.
And you believe there is a star in the making in this
race?
Well,
you never know what happens to a horse that gets laid up for a long time. But I do believe that had White Frost stayed sound, that there's a very strong chance she would have been the best of the 3-year-old American horses. Now, Sherastani ran so well at Keeneland, it's hard to back that up. But she really ran extraordinarily well in winning the Swedish Chant last time at Gulfstream. But we now haven't seen her for close to 10 months. So you just don't know if she's going to be the same horse for Bill Mott. But if she is, or she's built on it, they're in trouble here.
Let's get to our opener here coming up. We are approaching the 5-minute mark to post. So again, 6 furlong sprint, $16,000 claiming race. Got a horse on the outside who has become a 3-time stakes winner, but his biggest claim to fame, he was favored over Tiz the Law in his debut. The eventual Belmont Stakes and Travers winner. He's 4-1 on the board, but the favorite right now, odds on Summer Bourbon, down on the inside with Jose Lezcano.
Well, he's in good form, so I get it, but I'm not taking 4 to 5 on him.
Just missed last time out. He won the battle with Aristocratic. He lost the war as Craze Brooklyn Law swooped by them both late. So odds on there. Jersey Joe B turf to dirt today.
Yeah, he looks like the rank outsider in this field. He just doesn't appear to be fast enough to be competitive. That's why he's almost 30-1.
Binkster, there was a time when this horse would be a heavy favorite in this race.
No question about it, and Ray Handel claimed this horse back, and the drop down is a negative off the claim for Ray. You just have to wonder if he's lost his best form.
Iran Ortiz Jr. 9-1 on a horse coming in from Gulfstream.
We'll see if coming up here and going. It's a switch Orlando Nota, but it was sort of in the family before that. This horse has figures though that are fast enough to win. It's a big price if you like him.
Cantrell Hill will cut back in distance.
Don't make the mistake of thinking Randy Persaud doesn't have good numbers off the claim. We may show him. He's got sensational numbers off the claim.
Here is Dream Bigger. Used to be with Rudy Rodriguez, now claimed by Mertcan Cantermasi.
I put this one on top, and I have absolutely no confidence in him. But what I do like is that he was right in the teeth of a pace battle that totally melted down last time out, and I think that makes his last race better than it looks.
You can follow along with all the action, get all the stats of the horses, trainers, and jockeys in today's races with free Equibase past performances. Take advantage by going to NYRA.com/TV schedule and download your free past performances. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Summer Bourbon, our even money favorite, and that is a short price on his last out performance. So Jose Lezcano tries to lean in a little, intimidate this horse on the rail, Aristocratic. He's going to wind up getting by this horse, but he won't get the win.
No, as you say, won the battle. I mean, the winner of this race just came from the clouds. I mean, he is not even in the picture right now, Crea's Brooklyn Law, and that wasn't him in the picture before, and he just came and made this huge run. They kind of knew. He took a little bit of money that day, to be honest with you, and more money I think we would have expected, and he ran to it. But it's not to say Summer Bourbon didn't run well. One thing on Summer Bourbon, I mean, he's run 3 straight races that are very strong, and that's somewhat unusual at this level.
He had 1 back-to-back starts at 6 furlongs. We're going 6 furlongs today. That race we just showed you where he got beat, that was at 6.5. And maybe, was it a case? Maybe it just never saw that horse coming?
No, I don't. You know what? I'm the wrong guy for that question because I never believe that stuff. I find it hard to believe that they would have, that he would have re-rallied. I think he just got involved in a stronger duel than he expected in there, and it ended up taking his toll. It was a slow first quarter, but they went quickly thereafter, and he just got run down. But he still ran his race.
He did. 7 of his 13 career wins. He's an 8-year-old, still going strong, obviously. 7 wins have come on this racetrack. As we look at the 5, Cantrell Hill, Eric Cancel will be aboard. This horse has been popular in the claim box of late.
And a lot of people are going to look at Randy Persaud and say, well, he's 11 for 60 this year, 7%. I'm not going to take a bet a horse that Randy Persaud claimed. Well, think again if you like this horse. Off the claim for the last 5 years in dirt sprints, he's 6 for 27, 22% with a 645 ROI. Because I guess a lot of people said I'm not going to bet a horse that Randy Persaud claimed. And you know what? I was probably one of them, and we were all wrong. Pretty surprising, right? If I had told you I'm going to put up a Randy Persaud claim stat, you'd have said, oh, this is going to be too ugly. I don't even want to talk about this one. In fact, his numbers are very good. He does not claim very often. And when he does, it works out a lot.
Just the second time this 5-year-old now is going to be going 6 furlongs. He's coming out of a 1:16 race. He had won at 7 furlongs at Churchill earlier this year. Tom Amos used to have him. He trained him to a victory in the mud at a 1:16.
At Delta Downs. Tom Amos is very big at Delta Downs, if you're not aware of that. If you didn't already know that.
Wins a lot of races
He's huge at Delta Downs.
Here's your horse, Dream Bigger, that you're going to wind up with. I got to say, 9-2 makes this horse awfully enticing.
I agree, and listen, there's no question that he lost his best form, and they dropped him for a quarter, and he ran last. Having said, now he's claimed he's dropping, but his last race is not as bad as it looks. That was a super meltdown. It's like if you were first, you were last. If you were second early, you were fifth. If you were third early, you were fourth. The field was a complete accordion, and all the closers sucked up because the pace was hugely contested in there. I like to bet horses that finished badly in races that are meltdowns. But there's still.
It was a meltdown, but it was a drop from an open level allowance race to state bred 25. You're supposed to last a little longer on the front end, aren't you?
Well, yes, no. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's worse that he's dropping it for 16 off the claim for a quarter in a way. No. Believe me, if somebody wants to tell me it's pick 'em whether or not he can run, but I'm getting 4.5 to 1 right now. If I wouldn't bet this horse at 5 to 2 or 2 to 1, but at this price, I'm more than happy to bet on him. I mean, I think you're getting paid if it works out.
And would you agree with this? The only other horse that looks like he can go with him is this 32 to 1 shot, the 2.
Right. The 2 is going to either go or he's going to be in front of that horse, and he's going to be stalking that one. It doesn't figure there will be the same kind of pace we dealt with last time. I mean, who knows? It is worth noting that the track is completely dried out from yesterday. We had a muddy sealed track. The inside of the track was not the place to be yesterday, but that was probably due to the wet weather, but it is worth noting. A lot of people just seem to stay way out in the track, right?
Yeah.
Especially as the day went on.
Yes, yeah, later, especially in the nightcap, we saw Ortiz Jr. out in the middle of the track.
It was like he was on the crown of the track. As it got a little later, it got kind of dark. I couldn't really tell after that race what happened.
This is Binkster. So we talked about Binkster and his back class. He's a 3-time winner here on this track. He's coming out of that same race, too. And he was putting in a middle move in that
he's
Dream Bigger race, and he backed out of it.
Look at him, right? I mean, he only beat, by the way, Dream Bigger by a length. At least Dream Bigger was involved in the pace. He was sitting third behind him. I mean, arguably, Dream Bigger ran a lot better than he ran last time. And you're getting 9-2 on Dream Bigger, and he's 3-1. Now, he has good back form, but so does Dream Bigger, right? I mean, they're both horses that once were really good. Kind of like me. Once I was actually really good.
It's amazing.
Now I'm a
how
drop down.
Fortunes change in this game, isn't it? Talked about Dream Bigger, the 6th horse, and his debut. He was hyped in that debut. Obviously, he went off the favorite. So was Tiz the Law. We didn't know what Tiz the Law would become, but he went off favored over him. He ran second to him, and he would go on to win 3 stakes races against New York Brits.
Well, you might remember we interviewed Mike Rapoli on the air on our show in Saratoga before that race, and he was excited about him, no question about him. And Tiz the Law was able to easily defeat him, but Tiz the Law is a pretty good horse.
Yes, he was. That was fun last year.
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get to see him race this year. I like Tiz the Law.
Price getting even better on this outside runner now, 5-1 on the horse who could be controlling outside.
Yeah, I think he's a massive overlay. The reason I can say he's an overlay is I don't see how he can be this much of a bigger price than the 3. They both may stink in this race, but he ran a better race than they did when they met last time out. And there's both similar type horses, right? Drop downs off the claim that had good form once.
Yeah. At least with this guy loading up Summer Bourbon, we know you would think what you're going to get with him. He shows up. He's at this level.
Right. No, I mean, listen, we saw in the last race at Churchill yesterday, but that was off 7 wins. They don't always, but in general, this guy is the one who's been honest recently. The others have not. But you're absolutely right, though.
Yeah, that was a 7-race win streak that came to an end with Malpais yesterday at Churchill. We're set for the opener on this card at Aqueduct. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial with the call.
They're in the gate. And they're off. From the inside, it is Jersey Joe B going out for the lead along with Summer Bourbon. Grand Cacique is there, and on the outside, Dream Bigger. It's a gap of 3 lengths to Binkster, who had to steady shortly after the start and has 1 horse beaten at this point, and that is Cantrell Hill, who trails the field in 6th. It's a 4-way battle up front. From the rail out, Summer Bourbon, Jersey Joe B, Grand Cacique, and Dream Bigger. The quarter, 22 3/5 seconds. The front 4 have opened up 5 lengths on Binkster. And then Cantrell Hill. It is Jersey Joe B and a Grand Cacique on the outside. Grand Cacique now pokes ahead in front. Jersey Joe B is in between horses. Summer Bourbon is down at the rail. Dream Bigger has tailed off into 4th. Then Binkster, the half in 46-1. The field is in the stretch. And it is Summer Bourbon closest to the rail. Grand Cacique on the outside. Cantrell Hill is now coming on along with Binkster as they pass the 8th pole. It is Grand Cacique, Summer Bourbon. Here is Cantrell Hill on the outside. Cantrell Hill comes from off the pace to win it here by a length. Grand Cacique was second. Then Summer Bourbon and Dream Bigger.
Good work, Andy. I mean, you found those statistics, and they pay dividends here. Randy Persaud off the claim.
I still didn't pick the horse anywhere. I don't want to too much credit, but that's
4-1.
But it is amazing. Now, listen, was this race not dissimilar to what we were talking about a meltdown? I mean, 4 horses went. My horse Dream Bigger just can't run it all anymore. But even the 3 who looked like he wasn't running, Binkster, he was able to pick up the pieces. Frankly, Summer Bourbon ran remarkably well in this race, considering how the race was running here. And even the same could be said for the 4 Grand Cacique, but something had to give. And Grand Cacique did run very well in finishing second, and there was Eric Cancel just waiting in the back of the pack. And when you're a rider and you're riding a horse with no speed, cutting back in distance, and you see 4 horses off in the distance dueling in front, It can't be a bad feeling.
Licking your chops, no question. Let's go back to the beginning of the race, out of the gate. Did Jose Lezcano on Summer Bourbon just feel he had to go? And there you see the 5 to everyone in front of him.
I don't know. You know, it is the problem with drawing the rail in these situations, right? Where it sometimes dictates your position more often than not. But to be fair, Greg, unless as the day plays on, we think the rail is a disadvantage, you know, there's some leftover moisture from yesterday's track and the rail's disadvantage, the 4 ran a better race than he did at the end of the day, right? Because we didn't think the 4 was going to be in the middle of it battling also. And there he was, and he held on for second. So unless the rail turns out to be bad, I just don't think Summer Bourbon ran that well relative to the 4. When, you know, it's like when a long shot duels your horse into the ground and the long shot still beats your horse. He didn't duel you into the ground. He was better.
Well, this one obviously not from the Wesley Ward school of breaking out of the gate, but it did not matter. Cantrell Hill, 4-1. Last early, swoops by them all at the end. 5-4, 1-6 finish, and a 4-1 start to this Saturday card here at Aqueduct.
Yeah. Funny stat, huh? Randy Persona is now 7 for 28, 25% with an ROI of around $7.
So you do all the work, it's staring you right in front of the face, and you still decide not to go with it.
Yeah, it was a bad move on my part, especially in result. But thank you for that.
Pick
At least
4,
we gave you the stat.
Pick 4 is coming up next. We are going to sign off here in just a couple of seconds, but we're back on Fox Sports 2, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll show you what happened in that Artie Schiller, and we'll have the last couple on the card, or the last one on the card for you as well. And some Churchill Downs coming up. SNY, we're on 3:30 to 6 Eastern. But again, back on FS2, 4 to 6 later today. You can see races 2 through 8 on the New York Racing Association YouTube page.
And Naira Bets.
And Naira Bets, yeah.
Absolutely.
So take advantage.
Where I watch the Breeders' Cup races. I watch the feed from the track on Naira Bets on my computer.
Okay, thanks for sharing.
I like that. I like the track feeds.
I'm with you on that. Lots still coming up. Prices already in. We get them for you here. $10.40. Cantrell Hill, 5-year-old son of More Than Ready, getting the 5th win of his career. Eric Cancel kicks off the card with a victory. Later today, the Artie Schiller. And again, our Fox viewers will show you what happened in this race when we're back on later today. The Speedy Rinaldi getting back to 2 turns and likely going to be on the front end again with Luis Saez. He's going to have to deal with Flavius for Chad Brown and Jose Ortiz. That impressive victory this summer in the Lure. And Bell's the one. Big standout now with the scratches. Sconson and the Dream Supreme at Churchill Downs. We'll see you later at 4 Eastern.
Standing at Gainesway.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com.
Introducing Adelphi Racing Club, the horse racing syndicate offering more than just fractional ownership. Enjoy the thrill of an interactive thoroughbred ownership experience competing at the sport's highest level. Attend events where you'll interact with top trainers, industry professionals, and club members. We've cheered on winners from coast to coast at top tracks such as Santa Anita and Saratoga.
And it will be Exotic West.
Become part of a group that celebrates success together. Visit AdelphiRacing.com and join the club today.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you.